everyone, my name is Nolan and I am a graduating fourth-year student at San Diego State University. My major is Journalism and Media Studies with an emphasis in public relations, and my minor is in Recreation Tourism Management. But most importantly, I am a proud San Diegan. Sustainable development and conservation is critical everywhere. Sustainable development is the organizing principle for meeting human development goals while simultaneously sustaining the ability of natural systems to provide the natural resources and ecosystem services based upon which the economy and society depend. Here in San Diego, we have already made great strides in this. As Mayor Kevin Faulconer said, climate action isn't just a phrase in San Diego, it's a way of life. The investments we're making now to protect the environment will pay huge dividends going forward. San Diego also has the goal in place to be using 100% renewable energy by 2035, which is incredible. But there is another opportunity for growth that I think you'll be extremely interested in: sustainable development and conservation measures within Mission Bay. Mission Bay serves as a place of recreation for not just us residents, but the thousands that visit each year. The 4,600-acre aquatic playground is the largest of its kind in the world. Mission Bay offers so much, from sailing lessons, kite surfing, and stand-up paddleboarding, to jet skiing, wakeboarding, and everything in between. There's something for every age and skill level to enjoy in the water or enjoy relaxation on land. For me personally, Mission Bay has served as a second home and my go-to spot on the weekends. And I know I'm not alone in that. We care about our community and we care about sustainability, so shouldn't we want to do all that we can to protect our bay? Of the 4,000 acres of wetland complex that once existed, only 1%, 40 acres, remain. We know how important wetlands are to our communities, our coast, and our wildlife. We know that they improve water quality, protect our coastline in the face of sea level rise, and provide habitat for wildlife like the brown pelican and California halibut. So how do we fix this problem? We rewild Mission Bay. Rewild Mission Bay is a project of San Diego Audubon and their coalition partners to enhance and restore natural wetlands in the northeast corner of Mission Bay for cleaner water, climate resiliency, carbon sequestration, and greater access to public space. The rewild intent is to provide new opportunities for native plants and wildlife to thrive, and for all San Diegans to more fully enjoy nature and the natural habitats of our collective backyard. Mission Bay Park is an extraordinary public resource for everyone, including neighbors, regional residents, international visitors, and environmentally underserved communities throughout our region. Rewild Mission Bay has 3 proposals: the wild, the wilder, and the wildest alternatives. Let's start with the wild alternative. The wild alternative explores opportunities to restore wetlands exclusively within the existing landforms immediately east and west of Rose Creek. It does not propose shallowing adjacent open water or any major modifications to the existing shoreline. It is important to note that the lowering of elevations in the areas east and west of Rose Creek will necessitate exporting a large volume of soil off-site, resulting in significant impacts to traffic, air quality, and greenhouse gas emissions. This proposal would give us 214 acres of habitat, 172 acres of new wetland, 5,000 feet of new trails, and of course, it would better the water quality and wildlife protection efforts. This alternative would cost somewhere between $91.4 and $97.8 million to implement. Moving on to the wilder alternative. This alternative directly responds to a request from the City of San Diego to accommodate 40 acres of guest housing on De Anza Point. The wilder alternative uses soil excavated from east and west of Rose Creek to shallow approximately 38 acres of open water, and in doing so creates mudflats and salt marsh in areas beyond existing landforms. This option provides resiliency to sea level rise comparable to the wild alternative, but reduces the need to export soil off-site. This would bring down our costs by almost 50%, as well as reducing impacts to traffic, air quality, and greenhouse gas emissions. This alternative would give us 235 acres of habitat, 164 acres of new wetland, 2,400 feet of new trails, and of course, it would better the water quality and wildlife protection efforts. This alternative would cost between $46.2 and $46.4 million to implement. Last, but certainly not least, the wildest alternative. The wildest alternative expresses a vision that optimizes water quality, sea level rise adaptation, and the ability for wetland habitats to persist over time. This alternative proposes using soil from both east and west of Rose Creek to restore 94 acres of open water to mudflats and salt marshes. This alternative provides the greatest resiliency to sea level rise of all alternatives. This design also represents a balanced cut and fill option, virtually eliminating the need to export soil offsite and reducing impacts to traffic, air quality, and greenhouse gas emissions. This alternative also ensures that more restoration dollars are spent on creating habitat and public access features rather than spending money on offsite disposal. This alternative would give us 315 acres of habitat, 227 acres of new wetland, 4,800 feet of new trails, and this would give us our best possible water quality and wildlife protection. This alternative would cost about $62.6 million to implement. I fully endorse the wildest alternative, and I'm calling on politicians and community leaders to make the scientifically sound and forward-thinking decision required to restore these valuable wetlands. Citizens, you can make an impact too. Your voice plays a role in shaping community understanding of this campaign and what's at stake. How can you help? Ask candidates for office and elected officials where they stand on the future of current leases at Mission Bay. You could get involved in our community with sustainability efforts, and if you want to learn more about Rewild and these alternatives, call 858-273-7800 or email info@rewildmissionbay.org. The master plan for Mission Bay Park has for decades called for restoring wetland habitat, and the Rewild Mission Bay study identifies feasible wetland restoration alternatives. I know we can do this. Let's give back shoreline access to the public, draw people and dollars into the community and region through recreation and ecotourism, provide numerous new options for education and research, restore critical fish and bird habitat that has been lost from Mission Bay in the last 100 years, sequester carbon in expanded marsh habitats, improve water quality in the northeast corner and throughout Mission Bay, protect communities from the impacts of sea level rise, and provide nursery habitat for commercially important fish species. Let's rewild Mission Bay.